Hello, hi. This is Cairo from Innovation Literacy. So welcome to my other webinar, the 10 minutes webinar. I'll be getting a good response, so I'm a bit motivated. So today's topic is about innovation resistance, right? My earlier videos webinar was about innovation anxieties and dealing with innovation anxieties. And now we're going to discuss a little bit about innovation resistance. As we know that innovation triggers change and change triggers stresses, right, with a lot of people. So how do you identify the type of innovation resistance, right? It's not that they don't want to do it, but innovation is about dealing with people. So we got to include that human element whenever we want to kick off or as we are going through innovation projects, right? I prepared some slides to guide our webinar. I'm wearing actually a jersey for Malaysia team, football team, right? So once again, corporate culture is there. Bring around, build instead the innovation culture, right? So the innovation resistance, there are four that we have identified. So let's go through them one by one. So again, innovation is about change. We really need to build this in our mind, especially if you are top management. If you are a chief innovation officer, which is a popular designation these days, 10 years ago, you didn't hear this. In fact, 10 years ago, I advised a lot of companies to start looking at the CIO, which is the chief innovation officer role, which is a different role than IT people. I don't know why that a lot of chief innovation officer come from IT background. Probably because the understanding of innovation is only digital, right? Which I think digital only a small part, the enabler part of innovation. So change, as we know, has three characteristics. One, change is difficult, right? Because we know it's difficult, we over prepare ourselves and our team. The change is emotional. We really need to prepare the emotional part of our team and ourselves. When we are leaders, when we see our team are not motivated for some time, we too become demotivated, don't we? Right? So we also need to prepare ourselves. And as we know that we need to match the energy. So if you want your team to be motivated, you have to push them further. Although that time you feel a little bit down, you have to neutralize that. And change is continuous. Change is constant, right? So the moment we understand deeply that change is about DEC, difficult, emotional, and continuous, we will over prepare ourselves. So there is a theory called innovation resistance theory, right? So I did a bit of research, and there's not much written actually, but there's something that already available on the net. So I would like to touch on this a little bit because it makes a little sense over here. So whenever there's an innovation resistance, it could be these four elements. It could be a physical, another reach. It could be economic, right? For example, give here electric cars. It was developed by Solvinov. You can look into the IRT theory. There's some development from the 80s, 90s, further. It could be also functional. In other words, that function may not be related to that particular community or particular customers, right? I'll give you an example, like a flip phone, right? We used to have a flip phone, and then we had an iPhone design, and lately, a flip phone is making a comeback with the digital and the software that is allowing it. Very beautiful engineering, right? Come from Samsung, Huawei, the beginning, Motorola Razr is also making a comeback, a flip phone, right? Functional. And it could be also from social, no? Acceptance socially. You could see this in fashion. There's a lot of innovation in fashion, going, comeback, and all that. So this also were related in terms of traditions, norms, usage pattern, or perceived image. You know, I mentioned just now social, fashion, and stuff like that, food, right? So because of that, there is a postponement. People delay things. This is also happening in organization, right? It could be a norm, for example, right? Things has always been this way, so why should I change? You know, if we can do data collection manually, why should we do digital, right? So there could be also an all-out rejection, right? People just don't want to do. They probably say yes to you in the meetings, especially now if a lot of us are working um, online or virtually. It's very hard to tell sometimes whether are they agreeing with you or they actually want to say something, but they don't. So this is where the working virtually and hybrid sometimes give actually heighten or increase the barrier. A lot of offices are calling back their staffs to office. And of course, the last one is opposition, which is a total opposing, or I wouldn't say rejection, but opposing completely, not buying into it. And this example they give here is Google Glass. In fact, Google Glass is one of the earlier version of Vision Pro that we see today, right? Very fantastic design, or prototype actually, but it was total rejection VR. But Apple picked it up the last few years, build up the VR, and you can see Vision Pro. But even then, Apple has yet to have a killer app for Vision Pro. Yeah, so we're talking about 2024 right now. So because of this theory, we can give you some example. I mentioned just now the flip phone making a comeback this time among the younger millennials, right? People in their teens, early 20s are so crazy about the flip phone. They're talking about deviation, being different. The flip phone is much more complex in terms of their camera. And if you know, today's young people, they like to take pictures. Selfies used to be called mental illness. But today, after a few years, if you have not done selfie, you're probably not one of us. Okay, so this is again how people are accepting change, right? And genes, for example, an interesting phenomenon, originally made for minors, but become popular around 1950s via movies and celebrities. These are the two, I would say, modern genes with Rivet founders. They patented their design, Jacob Davis and Levi Strauss. And it's actually Marlon Brando in his movie called The Wild Ones, where he wear jeans. You can see here, and also, of course, James Dean, Jim Stark in The Rebel Without a Cause. This is one of the first few movies that actually show genes in action. It become subcultures, it become a trend, and evolves until today, as you can see. So the product acceptance take time. Similarly, innovation takes time. Innovation projects in companies also take time. So as top management, leaders, managers, we need to understand what are the four resistance to innovation projects, right? So overcoming resistance is part of strategic decisions, right? We cannot let the people digest it themselves. We have to educate them. But first, what are the four internal resistance and barriers? The first one, inertia, sticking to what we know. I already know what I know. Why should I change, right? Does it mean what I know now is not important or is useless? So I have to completely change that, right? Even when I do training and coaching, sometimes the 2 days or 3 days, even 4 or 5 days training, not meant to change you to an expert in design thinking, agile, or innovation methods. It's simply to get you to try something, build new knowledge, connect new information and knowledge, and collaborate with others. But this is the normal feeling inertia, right? The effort making the change happen, right? As you can see over here, this is actually shared by David Skontel. He's a clinical professor, director, entrepreneurship programs at Kellogg School of Management, and author of a book called The Human Element, about making the change happen. That, I got to do this. This is new things. I got to put in new effort, new energy. There's also another barriers, right? This is not only for adults, also for kids. If you know you have kids, you try to get them to ask to do something. They say, they drag their feet for it, right? That was emotion. This is unintended. Keyword here, unintended negative feelings. It's not meant to be negative, but unintended. It could be because of the weather. It could be because of the effort just now that they have to do. It creates these new chemicals called negative feelings. It could be feeling lazy. It could be angry, not the right timing for whatever reason, right? But it's unintended, right? The last one is reactance, the impulse being changed. No one like to feel cheated or feeling that they have been changed, not themselves anymore, right? So these are the 4 elements that we need to understand. One is inertia, another 2 is effort, the third one is emotion, and the 4th is reactance, right? So these are the 4 resistance, innovation resistance, that we need to be aware of, factor in, and deal with when we are working with our innovation projects, right? So I will actually prepare another video or webinar, 10 minutes, on how do you overcome this resistance, right? So I look forward to see you in the next webinar. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.